Welcome to the Interior Design Podcast. I'm Hannah Denny, the Executive Design Assistant at Harp Design. As designers, we know the power of a well-placed light. But did you know that lighting accounts for nearly 15% of global electricity use? Today on the Interior Design Podcast, we're exploring how our choices as designers, even down to the bulbs and fixtures we specify, can have a massive impact on the planet, our clients' well-being, and even their bottom line.
I'm Hayley Roy, a commercial interior designer, and I'm always looking for ways to design spaces that are not just beautiful, but also responsible. That's why I'm so excited to be joined by Emer Gillespie, founder of Spark and Bell, who creates stunning sustainable lighting. Together, we're going to unpack why sustainable design choices are so important and how we as designers can make smarter decisions that benefit both people and the planet.
Well done.
Emer, welcome. Let's start with your story.
My name's Emer Gillespie. I founded Spark and Bell 10 years ago this month. It was the first time I ever launched a light. I started off on Etsy. But my background was in my degrees in textile design. My master's is in fine art photography. I was teaching. My original degree in textiles was all about fiber optic weaving. So I was either going to get into lighting design back then. I had ideas to like create installations for homes or photography. And I just chose the photography route. Did my master's, exhibited around the world, which was great, but I was missing that kind of tactile making. And it was our first home, first starter home that I started going, oh, I want to make a light for my daughter's room. And then I started ordering parts and I went, oh my God, I used to love this. And I spent almost a year kind of at my kitchen table, ordering bits, learning, upskilling, making various lights for my new home. And then I just realized that it was really exciting and it got me back to kind of physically making things. Like photography is great and it is a creative outlet, but the art world is incredibly competitive and really hard to survive in. And that's why I was teaching as well at the same time. So I spent a year learning, upskilling, and then I made very basic, simple designs with parts that I could find locally, and started very simply. And then it just kind of snowballed from there, really. And I kind of stuck to that ethos of just designing lights that I would want in my home, with parts that I could find easily and locally. And then just trying to keep the design simple, but they just go in so many spaces. And I think that's a key thing to our designs is that I want the light to last for as long as possible in someone's home. So if you keep it simple, I think that you've got more of a chance of it not being thrown out with the next kind of redo. So yeah, Spark and Bell was born. Like 4 months later, I had my son. So I actually grew it more in my maternity year. So I had during that maternity year, I kind of kept on building and researching and designing. And then when I came back to teaching, I realized I had to give up one or the other. And luckily, it was teaching that I gave up. So.
Wow.
I felt very lucky to be able to do it at that stage. Again, it was really small business. It was just me for the first 3 years. And then once I quit teaching, I just then kind of moved into a worker space, like a shared creative space called Rhoda's Creative Studios. And that's where I started to have the conversations with other makers, carpenters, shade makers, and upholsterers. And that's where the whole collaboration basis for Spark and Bell kind of kicked off.
Wow.
So you're a collaborative business then,
Yeah,
rather than just you.
yeah, I think I learned kind of early-ish on that I don't have to do everything myself and that there are really amazing skilled people. We're really lucky in the Brighton Hove area that there's like amazing skilled makers, artists, and designers that I can just tap into. I'm always going to craft fairs and shows locally to see who can do what. And then I know the difference that those kind of orders can make to those very small independent makers. So that's kind of it's just been a really lovely kind of cohesive relationship where we're all benefiting. And I always make sure I put the name of the maker on the part as well. So if anyone else needs a carpenter, they can find a carpenter, or if anyone else needs a ceramicist or wants to buy matching plates for the light that they've just bought, they can go to Katie or they can go to Bex and they can get the pieces. So yeah, it's kind of built on collaboration insofar as like small makers and artists need to be supportive, and I want every pound that I spend to kind of go to the right place. Yeah.
That's so good. That's so cool.
Do you still do the design as well? Do you still kind of dip into designing lights, or?
So it's mainly the design that
Yeah.
I'm doing now. I actually don't get to do much making.
Okay.
So now I've got two amazing makers called Hannah and Venus, and they pretty much make all the lights.
Wow.
Every so often, I'll just I just want to step away from my computer and I'll hop on the making table, or I do all my prototyping. I'll build, and there's bits all over my workshop where I'm half designed lights. But yeah, it's all mainly designing and sourcing.
Yeah.
Sourcing takes a long time
Mhm.
for parts. It's because once you kind of get into the nitty-gritty of like sustainable design, the sourcing part takes a long time
Yeah.
because you need to design a specific part, get the drawings done, find who can make what, and ensure that the material is sourced kind of sustainably. So that's kind of my main
Yeah.
focus at the moment. Yeah.
Wow.
So why has sustainability become such a central part of your design philosophy?
I think I'm inherently a really sustainable person in terms of like I'm an obsessive recycler, very aware of resources and the infinite amount of resources that we have, and that we're kind of Earth Overshoot Day is in August, which is essentially we're using up the resources that we can sustain, and once we hit that day, we're eating into the future's resources. So I think that's always kind of played it. So it just kind of made sense to design and set up the businesses in a certain way. Also, as a small business, you want to use the boxes that come in, you want to use the filler that comes in, you want to use the fabric cable in a way that can turn into a sample, like nothing gets thrown out. If something gets a scratch, we'll buff it out, or we'll powder coat it, or we'll finish it in a different finish. So there's various boxes around our workshop of this metal needs this treatment to be able to be used again. So yeah, I think inherently I'm a very resourceful person. So it just kind of made sense to kind of to design in a way that, running a business is really hard. The bottom line is always kind of something you need to keep an eye on. So it never made sense or felt comfortable to be kind of wasteful, essentially, for resources and parts and things like that.
That's what a lot of businesses miss, because a lot of people think if you're sustainable, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But actually it's not. It's actually the opposite in
Yeah.
some cases, in most cases.
Yeah.
Like you say, reuse the boxes. Like, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
And things like that, and not throwing away so much stuff.
Yeah.
I always think that when we do a refurb, if we bring, if we try and get the products sold rather than put it into landfill, that's actually earning money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, well, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people don't do it because they haven't got time.
Well, this is the thing. It can take a little bit more effort, but and you have to kind of encourage people and take pride in what they're doing. If it takes a little bit more effort, and if even what the money that you get for it just compensates you for some of your time, then it's a win-win. Like, imagine that massive piece of furniture not rotting away with chemicals going into the soil for however many years, or it living it out a few more years, and a new piece isn't bought by that person. It then gets a new lease of life or is repolstered. So yeah, it does take more effort. But yeah, I think sustainability has a bit of a bad rap for like always sounding expensive, and it can do when you come to, like sustainable building and the fabric of a building and things like that. But when it comes to things like you're running this amazing studio here, and you have changed all your lights to LEDs, and you're immediately making an energy saving, we have installed infrared heating because that's the most sustainable heating system that you can get, not expensive. We essentially, the building we moved into just didn't have any heating, and there was these huge, massive heaters heating the space, and I looked at them and was like, no way. But you can get these panels that are infrared, and it heats the objects and not the air, and it's the most energy efficient. So with a little bit of research and a little bit of costings, we've definitely made our money back. We have a massive cardboard shredder, so we turn all our cardboard into filler for our packaging. So that means that if boxes that aren't strong enough or sturdy enough for us to reuse, we will shred them down, and then that saves us, number one, on recycling and filler. So we've halved our recycling from once a week collection to once every 2 weeks, and we buy much less kind of filler for our packages, which protect everything. So when you open up your Spark and Bell box, it's all recycled material or recyclable material. If there is any plastic in it, it's because it's come from a supplier, and the best thing rather than recycle is reuse. So if you get something and you give it another go before it ends up in landfill,
Absolutely.
it's a good thing. So if you do ever see plastic, that's what it is. It's from another supplier.
As designers, we're often under pressure to deliver beautiful spaces, sometimes on tight budgets. But making the wrong lighting choices, like sticking with traditional bulbs or non-sustainable fixtures, has real costs for the environment and for our clients. Emma, can you break down what those costs look like in practice? What are some of the hidden environmental and social impacts of unsustainable lighting?
Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. But I mean, I think for you guys, in terms of designers, it's building up that kind of list of sustainable suppliers that you know and trust. Like it takes a long time to find your kind of suppliers and the products that you're happy to kind of go with and put into design. But if, for example, you've got lighting that you know has a lifetime warranty or a right to repair or, you know, a take back scheme or anything like that, you are giving confidence to your customer that you're leaving them with the information that they can, if anything goes wrong, this is who you contact. If at the end of your project or, you know, in 10 years' time when you need to revamp, will that company take these back? Will you be able to kind of revamp and almost put money towards the next set of lights? Also, obviously, kind of in terms of like the practical design of a space, especially for commercial projects, I feel like adaptability and not getting too specific with the position of lighting in terms of spaces change, offices change, desks move, things like that. So, going with kind of adaptable lighting is really key as well. As for your suppliers, like again, if you think about obviously the material choices that you're using as a starter, the basics of kind of circular lighting design are where you're getting those parts from. Does your supplier have all eyes on their suppliers? Where is their metal coming from? Where is their ceramics coming from? Things like that. If you know that they've done their due diligence with their suppliers, then you can be confident that you are buying a piece that is well thought of and well made. The well made is obviously key because if you buy, yes, there are absolutely cheap lighting options out there. And I do search it sometimes and I just look at the price of some of the lights. I'm like, how are they making it that cheap? And the reality is that it's probably not going to last as long and you might be like, you know, replacing it in 2 years. And therefore, really, it's costing you double than what the original price is. And I think it's getting your customers for those commercial spaces and residential spaces on board with buying well, buying once, which is a key lesson my dad
Yeah.
taught me when I was growing up. Buy once, buy well. Number one rule. So the designers have that job ahead of them or are in the process on their journey. And it is a journey because things change, certifications change, and new materials are being developed. So it's a constant searching journey. And that's why, you know, trade shows are great and you learn about the newest developments and newest suppliers and newest products of just constantly kind of questioning and getting in line who you're confident to go with. And it'll get easier and easier because then you probably have your carpet suppliers that you know don't need to be glued down and will take back. And there's amazing things. Flooring is a huge area of waste in interior design. Or you know your furniture makers that have, you know, supported local artisans or have made it in a way that it's easily kind of repairable and things like that. So I think the biggest thing is getting your ducks in a row with knowing who can supply what and really that whole life cycle of the piece that you're buying and not just going on aesthetics, which is really hard because you guys create beautiful spaces and to just go with aesthetics, you can just kind of get lost in the thing. But luckily, sustainability doesn't have to give up on aesthetics and it can be beautiful as well. So
one of the things that you do is your B Corp, aren't you? Which
Yeah.
is a big sign of being sustainable throughout your supply chain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more about?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a small independent maker, one of the things that was when I started going on this journey, it was actually someone in Rhoda's Creative Studios, my original one's like, oh, you're doing things quite sustainably. You should look at B Corp. And I was like, what is B Corp? So I started looking at it. As soon as I started looking at it, they have like if you're interested, you could just go online and do their impact assessment online and it doesn't cost anything. And you can see the score that you're kind of at. It might be different now because they've just changed things. But it was that, oh, this is a good way to do it. You're scoring higher here by doing that. Of course, that makes sense. So if you're setting up a business, you might want to create a sustainable business, but you actually might not know how to go about it. So it was a really good signal posting of ways to kind of set things up. Like one simple thing is that I started doing one-to-one meetings with every employee of mine once a month. And, you know, those kind of things. It's not just about the environment, it's about planet, people, profit. It's kind of a whole kind of holistic one. B Corp is also more accessible for me in terms of cost. If you look at LCAs and EPDs, you know, life cycle analysis and environmental product declarations, they're very expensive. They are upwards of 15,000 sometimes, which for me is just not an option. So it was a really good all-rounder to certify and to be checked over and go, yes, we are a sustainable company. We are doing things well. So it took years. I kind of dabbled with it. It doesn't have to take years. I took years because I also wanted to do things really well. So I always checked in with it every year or so. And then it got to a stage where I felt confident in my knowledge of the business and how we were working. And then I engaged with an amazing B leader who's someone trained by B Corp to essentially guide and support you, called Sally Burt-Jones. And that was the turning point. She had these incredible spreadsheets and putting in all the data question by question, you just go through every part of your business with the fine tooth comb and make sure that you're just doing it well. And that's why I really love the B Corp certification, because again, it's a journey. So we were the highest rated B Corp in lighting when we certified a year and a half ago. We've been pipped to the post by the amazing Stone Lighting up in Scotland now, but at the time, we were really proud to get over the 100 mark, and we really do. It really made me get to know my business inside out. Like, I know my percentages. My cost of goods sold within a 200-mile radius is 82%. You know, within the Brighton and Hove area is 22%. So these are the kind of stats that you're always got an eye on: your energy use, your waste, everything like that. So yeah, B Corp it's a community. It's a really supportive community. And again, it's that thing of just going on a journey and being encouraged within the community just to do your best and just, do things well.
Yeah, rather than kind of scaring you into it, they support you along the way. That's
absolutely. And that's why I feel like EPDs and LCAs don't necessarily work for me. You never know, down the line, we might be big enough that we want to have those. And it's also something I would say to designers is that, you know, the way sometimes there's like, we need an LCA or an EPD for this project, for every product or whatever. And then I've found that we've kind of been asked for some of the things. And I've just been going, okay, well, we do have B Corp certification, which is this very holistic certification. Here's our impact report from 2025. So you can see exactly how we're doing. And then it has transpired that sometimes that's fine. And what we've inspected, you know, a couple of projects that we didn't think we'd get, but because we were B Corp certified, we got there. So that was good. And it's quite important for designers to be lenient on because sometimes you get an LC or an EPD, I don't know if you've looked through them, but it's just so much information. What are you doing with it? It's going into a folder. And whether it's going to be really, it is a tick box sometimes. Whereas sometimes if you look at a business and you know that this part is coming from 10 miles down the road and it's supporting this local ceramicist, and I can bring this light back in 20 years' time and get it repaired for free. That's us. And I think that's why it's important to kind of look holistically at a business and not just look at some of the tick boxes that some of the bigger projects need.
I think it's an attitude, isn't it? Yeah. It's an attitude towards the planet and kind of making, what is it, people,
planet and profit.
Planet and profit. So you have to have all three of those.
Yes.
And actually managing your business, like you say, like it helps you manage your business. You know, your percentages and things like that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is really good. And it does make you kind of go through and look at everything. Everything from like the bank you choose or, you know, who you get your toilet paper from or your cleaning products. And, you know, we go like, oh yeah, why are we getting it from here? We know this lovely woman called Harriet down in Hove and we get all our cleaning products from her now. So it's that those little changes, and then you just start to see all your percentages and your money being spent more locally, more sustainably, supporting the businesses that really need the support. You know, the big, you know, Amazons of this world don't necessarily need that they have. They take huge percentages from their suppliers. If there's something on Amazon that I really need, I'll just go find out and I'll just go directly, and it's probably the exact same, if not cheaper, because they have to put up the price.
And they'll make more profit.
And they'll make more profit. Yeah. So yeah, those little things, it just starts to become obsessive. Like you start to just, everything you do, buy in or design, you're just interrogating it a little bit more. Yeah.
Changes the way you look at everything, I assume, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm going to plug it. My husband and I have just started a new business called Embrace Eco.
Mm-hmm.
And we're a sustainable fill and refill company on your doorstep. But since I've been on a bit of a journey over the last 6 months with the business, because when we first started, we were like, right, okay, well, how are we going to help people say that, only 17% of plastic is getting recycled from our households? How can we have an impact on that? And that's how we've come up with the solution of fill and refill on your doorstep, because you don't have to go to the shop. But since I've started up the business, there is so much that I've learned about things like chemicals and some of the big corporations and what they're doing. And actually, what you've just said really resonates with me, because I think that the big corporations are controlling so much because they make it so easy that like to get everything in one place, like for example, Amazon or whatever, just go to Amazon because it's, I don't know, I haven't got time to do anything else, but actually, if you have to just make a minute to do something different, you are actually helping our economy, and you're not feeding that person who's in some offshore thing that's not going to pay tax, you know? So actually making sure that you do that is amazing. And also things like chemicals and stuff, there's a lot of crap that people are using to save money to make more profits that isn't environmentally friendly. So and there's things that are going in the furniture that we're doing, in the paint that we're specifying. So there's that kind of thought process as well to make sure. I was talking to Dulux yesterday, and they were saying that a lot of their paints now are all low VOC,
right?
And they will automatically put into their Dulux specification report that the most mentally friendly paints and things like that. And they don't shout about that at all. They're just doing it because that's the right thing to do. But so many of the big corps aren't doing that, and it's, I think what you're doing is amazing to make sure that you are keeping it local and keeping it in the smaller.
And we do need the bigger guys to get on board, and I do feel like the tide is turning in terms of customers expect, there's that statistic that B Corps do 30% better sometimes as a certified. It just gives confidence in that, okay, I'm buying from a good company, they've been vetted. Because there's so much greenwashing kind of declarations out there. It's exhausting to try and kind of dig deep. And even when we're looking at suppliers, sometimes we'll dig deep and we'll go, oh, hold on, that's not what we thought. And it's just not as described. So you need the big people on there as well. But also I'm a big believer in every little help. Like the littlest changes can just kind of snowball. And that can be from what you're actually changing and saving and recycling to what you're talking about and what you're sharing, and who you meet at a design show and tell them a certain way that you do things, go, oh, that's a really good way to do it. And then that, it's just this kind of shared economy of knowledge. When it comes to the environment, everyone should be sharing. Everyone should be kind of giving those golden nuggets that they've learned along the way.
I think we've got a lot of power in interior design, in the interior design world, to influence suppliers as well, because suppliers want to work with us. So for example, if we're asking the right questions, environmental questions, have you got anything recycled? Have you got anything sustainable? Which is your most sustainable range, and that kind of thing? The more people that ask for that, the more they're going to, the suppliers are going to react. So us asking those questions to suppliers is going to make sure that we get that snowballing as much as possible.
Totally. Ask the questions, and people should have that information ready. Like, we were surprised, we kind of went to all our metal comes from Birmingham, an amazing family company called S. Lilly and Sons. They've been going for 200 years. When I was doing my assessment and looking at my materiality assessment, I wanted to know, well, do you know the percentage of, because brass is infinitely recyclable. It's like one of the most sustainable materials. So I was like, do you know your recycling rate for? Says, yeah, 45% of what they work with is already from recycled content. And because it's infinitely recyclable, then it's just going to keep on going and going. So it's a really great material to work with. But it's great, like for an old school family industry, they've obviously been asked that question before because they had that information to hand. So it is great. Now I've got my information to hand, and they have their information, and it's that pushback.
Working
You keep on
together,
exactly. And shared knowledge and support, because it is so hard to work these things out. Like, it's not easy. B Corp certification was a year of my life. So, and I think it is going to get easier and easier. Like, we are going to see the information more readily available on websites. Everyone should have a sustainable statement so that they can kind of make their little declaration about what they do, just to give reassurance to the customers. And also, again, like, it's a journey. So on our impact reports, we'll always talk about, well, what we plan to do in the year ahead, because, you know, there's loads of work we can do. Yeah.
It's about, Jen, it is about consistently looking, isn't it?
How often do the B Corp, how often do you have to kind of update that information, or do you have to, or is it kind of once you've done it, you're expected to continue doing it, or?
It's a yearly report.
Okay.
So you recertify every 3 years, but in between those, you do your impact reports,
Okay.
which is really good because it keeps your information up to date. Because after we certified, I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do any more.
Yeah.
And then it came around a year later to, it was like, oh my God, we have to do our impact report. And it just made me refresh all the information.
Yeah.
Just look at all my percentages, look at all my spreadsheets, update everything, pull the information, and then go, oh, that's great. Well, we've made progress there. And it was really lovely to see the progress we had made, and then to highlight ones going, oh, we didn't make as much progress there. This is what we need to concentrate on. So, so yeah, it's every year.
Keeps it fresh.
It keeps it fresh. It does. And it keeps it up to date really, really importantly. Yeah.
Let's talk about solutions. For residential projects, what should designers be recommending to clients who want both style and sustainability?
So I think the first one is to do an assessment of what's already there and see if you've got a really good quality couch sitting in a sitting room and the customer is not loving it anymore. Maybe start bringing in some beautiful samples of sustainable fabric choices and just find a local upholsterer, and it will save them money and obviously keep a piece of furniture, especially if it's a good quality one. Like there's some amazing pieces of furniture that get shifted on for the new, but actually a fresh kind of, recovering can make all the difference. It could be got to do with lights as well. It could be that you've got a fitting, but then you put a new fabric shade on it. It could be a table lamp that, again, you put a new fabric shade or a new color on, or you find a local fabric shade maker and then matched fabric. So again, it's kind of looking at what reuse is definitely then better than recycle. So you're always starting to kind of look around and see. Then obviously your client is going to want new, absolutely. So then that's where you kind of get down to, well, who are we getting this from, and where are we kind of getting it from? So in terms of lighting, I think obviously if you're doing a refurb and you've got your traditional kind of center light and that's it, the perfect opportunity to add wall lights. If you're getting the builders in anyway, get those wall lights going, because it makes all the difference. Like in our sitting room, we only use our wall lights. We don't use the big lights ever. And then you've got your table lamps to kind of elevate different corners and reading nooks and things like that. And again, it's where you're kind of choosing those pieces from. And if you've got like a wood going through your design, then matching, not going too matchy. And I have so many customers that are like, oh, I need this specific brass because it's in this door handle. And I'm like, yes, that's great if it's there, but don't feel like you need to rip out certain things, especially in the kitchen, because most appliances are nickel or aluminium. So to only go with that kind of lighting, you don't feel scared to mix and match in a way that kind of it still works visually. Obviously, you guys as designers would better advise on that, but I'm a big believer in kind of not going too matchy because that can create more waste and higher costs. And at the end of the day, everything I've kind of said brings down the costs for the client and is better for the environment. So again, it's that kind of challenging of sustainability. Doesn't have to be kind of more expensive as such. So yeah, just kind of looking at that. Residential, especially you want to kind of get to know the customer, make sure you understand them, and then bring in and show them amazing things and materials, colors, textures that they might not be aware of, or that they've only seen kind of on Pinterest pages, and be selective in what you kind of show to them. Like if you, again, like we talked about, if you've got your Rolodex of sustainable suppliers, then those are the ones that you show to your client with enough variety and specific design towards their aesthetic kind of, so that you're only kind of showing your kind of suppliers that you're happy. Again, a big thing is about, chemicals, welfare, in terms of the type of paint that you use, breathable paint, fumes, things like that, and also the furniture and the fumes are in the furniture and things like that. So yeah, being selective and looking at the kind of the health of your client in the long term, so that you're kind of really proud to leave them living in that space with their kids for 20 years. Kind of. Yeah.
Could you share a project you've worked on where sustainable lighting really changed the space, whether by cutting energy bills, reducing waste, or enhancing the user experience?
We have just completed over the summer took off most of the summer, this amazing project in Mayfair, which is in a clinic in Mayfair. And the designer, Samantha Swaby from SOS Mark, she came to us with this drawing of these kind of real ethereal lights and installation over the reception desk. And as soon as I saw it, I knew the material I wanted to get into it. So, so we convinced her to let us experiment with our jewel material, which is our material that we make in-house from recycled plastics. So we take CD cases, jewel cases, take the stickers off, sort them out into different materials and colors, and then ship them down. And we have a whole kind of recycling workshop where we heat press them into sheets, and then we have a CNC and all this. So we make this material. So we took her drawings and we kind of created our own 5-drop installation for over the reception desk, and 18 completely bespoke wall lights, which contrasted bronze metal fittings with this white kind of ethereal kind of petals-like designs. You'll have to see the photos. I'll send you the photo. I'm waiting for the photos, but I'll send you as soon as I get them. But it was just a really interesting project because she didn't come to us asking for a sustainable light. She wanted to kind of go bespoke and handmade and local, so that's why she came to us. But I think she was quite nicely surprised by how we were able to work with that material and what we were able to produce. And then quite proudly was able to go, yeah, these are made from chipped CD cases. And there's 36 kilograms of waste gone into those lights. And then that all goes into our tracking for how much recycled materials we use for the year within our lights. And it's in this really high-end, beautiful clinic in Mayfair. So it was just a real amazing opportunity to sneak that material in there that she didn't even know she wanted. And then once we kind of showed her some prototyping, she was delighted to kind of go with that.
What an amazing process to do
Yeah.
that. Like you say, you've seen an image and you take that and you're like, I know what we can do.
Totally. And sometimes we get those images a lot of the time, and you always want to put your own stamp on it. You always kind of guide a little bit more, going, okay, maybe not that. How about this? And we kind of really emphasize that contrast between the bronze and the white jewel material, and it just worked so well. And all our lights are energy efficient in terms of they're all LED, they're all replaceable bulbs. There's no complex internal drivers or internal LEDs that are not replaceable. So those fittings will just last and last. And every time a bulb goes, it's really easy for anyone. You don't need to get the electrician out. And so, yeah, we kind of use replaceable bulbs in all the lights.
Can't wait to see the pictures.
Yeah.
In light of what you just said, one of the things that I love about being an interior designer is working with manufacturers, because I feel like a lot of interior designers tend to dictate, and having worked on the other side of it, so I've worked with interior designers as well as being one before I was one. And actually, when I was working in manufacturing, I knew my product really, really well, and I knew where to get everything, and I had, there was certain things that I could get less expensive than other things. And if someone came to me and said, I want this, I'd be like, well, if I know that I can do that much better and much cheaper, and it would be more comfortable. And then I'd sort of try and give feedback, and then someone, not always, I mean, a lot of people would take on the feedback, but some people wouldn't, and they were like, no, I want it exactly like that. And actually they had a worse product and it cost more by doing that. And also, like you say, you understand the sustainability of it all. So if you're working with the right people, they're going to make whatever if you collaborate, it will be better. You know, and I think that's so important for designers to understand. That is, it's not just about you, it's not all on your shoulders. You know, you've got all these people with all this experience all around you.
Totally.
Use it, tap into it, you know, and it will be better. It will be more sustainable, it'll be less expensive, it'll be more comfortable, you know, all of those things if you collaborate and work together.
Totally. And it's only by doing those collaborations that you get that special one-off piece. Like, you know, if you have got a light from a manufacturer far, far away, and you approach them to make 2 lights for a project, they're just going to be like, yeah, no, the R&D and our factory's not set up that way. You go to a local handmade, like every light, we have thousands of components in our workshop. You have to come down and visit, but we have thousands of components in the workshop. So for someone to kind of go, I really love this light, but can I have this, this, and this? And go, yeah, like if it comes to like a different tube length, or we've worked with our carpenter to make much larger Cara shades, which are our kind of like signature lovely kind of arched shades. We've made 50-centimeter shades instead of the usual 30 centimeters for commercial projects that needed that bigger impact. Yeah, no problem. I can order 3 off Tom and he can deliver them to me, you know. And same for certain glazes with the ceramicists, or different powder coaters. We're doing a bespoke set of table lamps at the moment for one of our favorite design agencies, and we're creating 16 table lamps in a very specific RAL color, and it's got bone china top to it, and it's going to be inbuilt into this beautiful cafe. And yeah, I was able to do that. It's taken me a good few weeks, a bit of planning, but they're getting a completely bespoke table lamp for their project. And you know, it's only by working collaboratively that you kind of get to do that. And I feel like maybe like interior designers and architects want to have that special piece. They want to have that bespoke piece that isn't off the shelf. Like if you look for brass lighting, they don't want that light. They want something different that comes from their imagination, that works more bespoke with the project. So again, and that's another really important reason to kind of do that, because you're putting your stamp on your project that no one else will have. Like that project from Mayfair, there's no one with that. With those materials in that design, there's no one that's going to have that.
And if you recreated it, it wouldn't be the same anyway, would it?
No.
So.
Yeah, totally different.
On my own projects, like offices and hospitality spaces, clients are increasingly asking about sustainability. What advice would you give designers like me to make decisions that are both future-proof and cost-effective?
Future-proofing is a really important one, because you're looking at, again, it's that cradle to cradle, not the certification cradle to cradle, but just generally what your product is doing through its entire life. So if you know that your supplier of your carpet will take it back at the end of its life and recycle it, or be able to reuse it in some way because it's not glued down, it has got bitumen and stuff like that, then that's a great option. And then the suppliers that you put in front of your client. So I think looking ahead and future-proofing is really key, but obviously it's really important to educate your customer as well. And we do a lot of work on that at the moment, is that you could have a client that says sustainability, but you've got to leave them with the information after you walk away, so they know what to do when that light needs attention, that carpet needs replacing, that piece of furniture has worn away and needs sorting. So that kind of future-proofing of just thinking a lot further ahead. So we have, we're just about, my husband has been working on this for a while, to change our 10-year warranty to a lifetime warranty, which means we're really confident that we can fix our lights. They're made in a nice and simple way that we can fix them, no problem. And we can help our customers if something gets bashed or broken or smashed. They can just come to us, and we are always replacing broken glass shades and things like that. Bigger companies are not going to have that option. And interestingly, like I was talking to an interior designer the other day, we're having this conversation, and she said she had this really beautiful little light from a supplier, and it actually said on the light, if broken or damaged, throw away, like dispose of it. And in contrast, our ones have a QR code that you scan, and it's got all the current up-to-date date, because again, it's a journey. So it's our up-to-date information of how to get it repaired, how to get it fixed, end of life recycling, take back scheme, we'll buy that light back off you. And that's what we're working on constantly. So again, it's that throwaway culture of like next day delivery, I can get this, and it might look great in photos, and then when you get it, you know when you get it and you open it up and you're like, oh God, like that sinking feeling, and you touch the material and it's a really cheap and reasonable option and it came really fast, but is it the best option for your client that you want to confidently leave your products in? Then it is again, it's that Rolodex of suppliers, and what folder are you leaving with them to kind of go, right, you don't need me now, I'm done, but here you go, so that in 10 years time you've got that. And obviously digital is better, so that you create some kind of digital filing system. There's great systems that you guys probably know already, where entire buildings get handed over with the kind of digital downloads. So that's really important. You know, you've got your material passports where everything is traceable back, and then you can again find out, well, what happens when this goes wrong, or I'm ripping out this kitchen, where can this countertop go to? Things like that. Yeah.
There's a thing in CDM where you have, if someone's a principal designer, you have to have a health and safety file, which has got all the things like data sheets for each product and each fabric and things like that. And I think I'm going to add
Yeah.
a couple of things to that list that
Great.
creates sustainable things on our, because we've got a list, haven't we, like a checklist for what do we do.
Yeah.
And I think if we've got that on there as well, as it's like with data sheets,
Right.
expand on that, so we make sure that we've got what to do at the end of life.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah.
What else would I put on that? What to do at the end of life?
Repairability.
Repairability.
Yeah, take back. You know, you've got a hotel, they want a fresh scheme. You know, the hotels are probably the most notorious for waste in that way. But like one of the ideas I've got, and I'm just starting to kind of formulate it in my head, is imagine we kind of supplied the lights for a hotel, but at the end we take back all those lights, refurbish, you know, change the design, like either just do a credit system where they then that goes towards the next set of lights, something like that. So, but yeah, kind of if you talk your client through the information in relation to repairability, end of life, warranty, everything like that, then it'll be in their mind when something goes wrong. And that's the important thing. It's the consumer education.
I think it's not just putting it in the folder either, because nobody reads the folder, do they? So it is actually saying, look, in here is this, and actually communicating that,
make it easier
as well. Yeah,
make it easier so that the easier option isn't quickly buying a replacement online, which is where the waste comes from and the light or the chair gets chucked out. So the easier, the more accessible you make it, and you talk through your client, so it's really kind of there. So when something goes wrong, they go, oh, I can just get that fixed. Like there's customers of ours, for example. So we only work with stems rather than chains because it's a nicer aesthetic for us. And that obviously kind of creates problems when people are moving homes. But we've had customers going, I'm moving this light, we're taking it with us to our next home. Can I get a different stem length? We're like, yeah, no problem. And we'll send them a different stem length so that it fits in their next home and can go with them. Again, that's only going to work if you're a local handmade sustainable supplier that knows the value in that, you know, that small part, making that light go to their next family home and keep in circulation for longer.
What's so powerful here is realizing that sustainability isn't an add-on, it's integral to great design. From the homes we live in to the hotels and offices we design, the lighting choices we make affect energy use, well-being, and the legacy we leave behind. So, Emer, before we wrap up, if you had to give designers just 3 quick wins to start making better, sustainable lighting choices today, what would they be?
Let me think. Definitely designed to future-proof. Again, it's that adaptability of lighting schemes for change in commercial spaces, especially. I think a sitting room is going to probably have the same setup as a sitting room, but I think commercial spaces especially, and really kind of get to know, well, do I need a grid of 8 spots there? Or can I install something that's a bit more interesting and I don't need to use those. Also using kind of smart systems like DALI systems, things like that, where you're kind of intelligently looking at the lighting and what's needed. And, you know, you're looking at circadian kind of rhythm and natural light, tapping into that, looking at the color temperature of your bulbs, all things like that. It's the feeling that you guys are creating, not only like beautiful spaces, but it's the feeling that you create when you're in that space. And it has a huge part to play in that. Whether it's where, you know, the position of tables beside a natural light coming from a window, or the cozy corner and the color temperature of that you put in the lamp in that cozy corner takes a massive impact on a space. And I feel especially like what's trending at the moment, and I don't like the word trending usually, but I'm really living for this, is just that the rich colors, the dark velvets, the really kind of cozy, back to natural linens, wood, all the materials that I love in my lights, I feel are really kind of being kind of used a lot in designs at the moment, because it's creating that really lovely feeling. Like if you think about biophilic design, plants, natural light, the breathability of paint, all that kind of creates a healthy kind of space for your clients. So, I mean, I probably mentioned a few tips in there, but I think generally it's create the space that you would very happily sit for 6 hours in, and ensure that it's kind of future-proofed as well, so that kind of things can be kind of adapted along the way.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So is there any questions that you've got, Hannah, for Emer?
I'm quite interested in finding out how you go from like a 10-year warranty to it turning into a lifetime warranty. So how do you've got to have so much belief in your products and what you use to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But how do you do that?
So yeah, it's really nerve-wracking
Yeah.
as a supplier. Just go, my husband's like, he joined like a year and a half ago, and he's like, why aren't we doing lifetime? I'm like, oh my God, like the longevity of that is it's heart-stopping. But really, like, because I just know the lights, any issues that come back are usually because someone's bashed something, and we'll help out. And we generally don't charge for any of our time, but if there's a glass shade, we'll charge for the glass shade. So really in our head, we were just looking at any issues that came back. It's like, these are all really simple minimal things because we've come from such kind of a very slow kind of handmade background. None of our lights are crazy complex. When you get into stuff that has like really complex kind of drivers or internally built LEDs, the complexity shoots up, and we have designed things to be easily fixed and repairable, so that, like, let's say for example, a wall light has 10 parts. They're pretty much got an all thread going all the way through it, and then like a serrated washer and a bolt on the other side holding it all together. If something kind of goes wrong in between, you just take it apart, fix that one part and put it back together. Like it is I have confidence in that we've chosen, number one, how we source, but how we put things together in a way that I'm confidently moving into lifetime work, because we're doing the free repair for life anyway. So if, you know, if that kind of extends into the warranty, there's very little that can go wrong with our lights. And because we've kind of thought about things really simply. So it's really scary when you say it out loud, but then I just have to remind myself and then go back to any issues that we've come across. We've either changed things, adapted things, or it's not an issue.
You should definitely do like a workshop where you invite designers in to like to make their own lights.
Yes, I've
Please.
so many I've so many ideas for all these workshops, and then everything just kind of gets in the way. But
Busy.
yeah, we had an amazing we've kind of done a few more workshops this year. We're supposed to throw a party for our 10-year anniversary, and that hasn't happened this month, but maybe early next year. But we also do things for like B Corp month is in March, so we do our kind of release of our impact report and get loads of designers in. We run kind of sustainability workshops relating to like design and mood boarding, and yeah, just kind of various kind of key people in sustainable design into the workshop. And then it's always good when people see how things are made. Again, you'll have to come down for a cup of tea. But yeah, everything is really like, you'll just see this multitude of parts perfectly organized, and then as the orders are coming in, the light gets put together and tested, and we're LIA QA certified, so everything is well checked and documented, and then we're confidently sending them out. There's not like a load of lights just sitting on
waiting on
waiting.
Yeah.
We don't have much storage, because we're all working in parts, which makes it more cost efficient as well. You don't have, while we have loads of money tied up in stock, it's not like finished products. That stock might be in 10 different lights, so we have like a part.
What is your lead time on items then, if they're bespoke to each customer?
So currently it's 5 to 8 working days.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I say weeks.
We're really we've worked really hard on our system. So let's say for example like ceramics, and we're really keen to never put pressure on our makers, because you know, we have gotten orders for like 140 ceramic lights before for a hotel, and we made sure we had 3 months to give the ceramicist to make all those parts. So we've worked out that how long they need, and we keep a certain level of stock. And then we have this amazing guy called Gao, who took the biggest job ever off me, which was stock management, and everything is digitized now. So there's alerts and there's weekly checks, and then the orders get put in. So yeah, and we also have like an express service where you can literally get next day made, because again, sometimes it's kind of, you've got those emergencies, you've got those last minute changeovers, you've got a situation where something's smashed and they need it immediately. It's like, yeah, we can do that because we are adaptable and there to help. In busier times, it can shoot up to 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, but generally,
That's amazing.
yeah, kind of like to keep it that way.
You sound incredibly proud of what you've created in the last 10 years.
It is amazing, and I love going into work, and my team are just so great. Like, we had such a great meeting yesterday about some of the new designs we're working on, and also my team, like everyone's got a skill set that we're really trying to tap into. Like Emma, my first ever employee, is still with me, and she did her degree in print. So she's just gotten her first custom prints for Spark and Bell printed up on linen, and we're making shades out of them. And Hannah is an artist, and I've got a side project going on with her where she's hand painting fabric linen shades. So we're doing a lot more with fabric and soft furnishings at the moment. Venus's degree was in recycled plastics in her craft and 3D design in Brighton University, and she was our lead in plastic recycling development. So yeah, everyone's got a skill that we're like, okay, so you did what degree? Okay, well, let's see how
with that,
we
yeah.
can kind of do it. So everyone's got
Weave
their
it in.
base job, and everyone also has started like from almost like the packing stage and have been upskilled internally, which is a big part
Amazing,
of
yeah.
B Corp as well, is internal upskilling of your staff and opportunities that you provide for them. So I mean, I'm responsible for 7 employees, you know, their livelihood. So it's really important for me to make sure that I'm value adding as well to them.
Definitely. I have one last question. I just want to know where your necklace is from.
Thank you.
It is so cool.
It is a Brighton designer.
Yeah.
The initials are RP, but weirdly, I don't think it's on the back of it. No, and I got this years ago. I've had this about 10, 15 years, and I have the box still, and it says RP on it, and I just need to Google it. I know, but yeah, it's a Brighton designer from a local design shop, and
Beautiful.
yeah, I need to find out who the maker is.
You do.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much,
Not at all.
Emer,
Yeah,
for
thank
coming
you.
onto the show. Your insights are incredibly valuable, and designers at every stage of their career. And to our listeners, I hope this has sparked some ideas for how you can make more conscious choices in your own projects. Remember, every decision we make as designers has the power to shape not just spaces, but the future of our planet. And if you're looking to go even deeper, don't forget to check out my branding and design workshop, where we help you align your projects with sustainable practices and create a brand identity that truly stands out. Thanks again, Emer. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the Interior Design Podcast for more conversations that inspire us to design better for people and the planet.
Thank
Thank you. Thanks for having me.